Hello guys and welcome back to another video. I know it's been a long time, but KSP has been a very important part of my life, as you probably know. So I will be making the last Minmus mission I think I will ever make, and I decided to make kind of like a Matt Lowndes style commentary. So we're gonna go ahead and launch the vehicle. So I'm actually recording this like in the future. So I recorded this mission yesterday, and today 10 days, or 10, a week from today, KSP2 will be releasing, but when you guys see this video, it will probably be 6 days, because I will probably release it tomorrow. So, yeah, so we are launching the craft right now. I decided to make it kind of like Gemini, so there isn't any SRBs, and it is only 3 stages. Later on in the mission, you'll see that it is actually called Last Mun Mission, because I was going to make it a Mun mission, but then I decided to make it a Minmus mission, and maybe make a video after that. The quality is kind of low because after I recorded the 18 minutes of footage, I realized that the quality was pretty low and I was just too lazy to re-record it because I recorded it at like 1 a.m. at night. So, yeah, so as you can see, we are launching this vehicle with Jebediah, Bill Kerman, and Bob Kerman, all on the craft, passing through 10,000 meters, 10 kilometers of altitude. We should start our gravity We should start our gravity turn relatively soon. Try to get into a nice low Kerbin orbit. We are about to stage the craft right about now. There we go. And you can see that mammoth engine powering this craft through 20 kilometers of altitude. I did start my gravity turn arguably a little late, as I sometimes do. So I will make a burn at our periapsis. We ended up getting an orbit of, I think, around 75 kilometers. I can't really remember, though. So yeah. Not sure why I clicked the command pod there, but alright. So now we are pointed completely sideways, trying to increase our sideways velocity. As you can see in the bottom left, I have opened up the maneuver mode, not maneuver node, the maneuver mode screen. I'm pointing down to keep our apoapsis relatively low. And now we are staging this last stage, which we will land on Minmus with this stage. So as you can see, and if you haven't played KSP before, you might think, well, the Mun is closer to Kerbin, so it must be easier to get to the Mun than Minmus. But it actually isn't, because it takes a lot of delta V, or not a lot, but it takes a relatively high amount of delta V to land on the Mun. But Minmus's gravity is so low because it's basically just a tiny asteroid that it really only takes like 100 meters per second to land on Minmus. And once you get your apoapsis of your orbit far enough, it only takes like 200 meters per second to get it to intersect Minmus. So it is, for this kind of craft, it takes a lot less delta V to get to Minmus than to the Mun. So now we are performing our orbit burn to get this craft into a stable low Kerbin orbit. In real life, this orbit would not be stable. It would probably last like 10 orbits because of orbital decay. But that is not a thing in KSP, and let's hope it isn't in KSP2, because let's be honest, it's kind of annoying. Yes, it will be realistic, but kind of annoying. So as you can see, the camera has now switched to orbit view as I check. Yeah, like 75. It's not perfectly circular, but it doesn't really matter. It'll be fine. Now, for some reason, when I made my first maneuver node, I was trying to match the inclination of Minmus, but then I realized, in a second, let's not rush this, that I can just make it intersect Minmus at a point where the inclination is the same. That's how I always get to Minmus. I'm not 100% sure why I was doing this. I'm pretty sure because the night before I did one of the KSP missions to intersect the comet, and it had me match the inclination, so I don't know why I was like that. So yeah, so you can just make it where, yeah, like that. So just make it at a point where Minmus is at the same inclination as your orbit, and you can get a nice and easy Minmus encounter. Oops. Just playing around with the maneuver node to make sure that I get a nice and equatorial Minmus encounter, and I actually had an encounter that would crash into Minmus, so I'm playing around with that. There we go. Alrighty. Come on. That's fine. Alright, nice. Just talking about, yeah, you can see on the top last Mun mission, Because this was originally going to be a Mun mission, but I decided to make it a Minmus mission instead. Now we're just time warping around to our maneuver node. Only 978 meters per second in delta V, which is not that big of a deal. You can see me make a quick save right there. And we're gonna have Jebediah powering us through this 1,000 meters per second burn to bring him to his last ever sight of the minty moon of Minmus in KSP 1. Don't worry, you're gonna see it again in KSP 2. So just wait for that. It'll be 6 days probably when you see this video. So please tell me if you like this kind of content. It's my first time really doing a video like this. Sorry about the quality, but the next time I probably won't be as lazy, and I'll remember to change the settings in OBS to make it 1080p, so it is not as bad. But so yeah, so just making our orbit around Minmus, which will only be 372.5 meters per second of delta V, which is nothing if you have a spacecraft like the one that I've designed with the Skipper, which has ridiculously high thruster-weight ratio. The Skipper is also relatively efficient, but as you can see, I'm not going to spoil it, but it does have a very high thrust-to-weight ratio for Minmus landings. Yes, you could turn down the thrust limiter, but I must have forgotten to do that, so it wasn't my best Minmus landing, I will admit. So here we are, just time warping over to our Minmus encounter. They seem very happy. The Kerbals seem very pleased with this. I'm just making a quick save to make sure that I don't screw things up. Make sure I don't get too trigger happy with the time warp button and fly by our maneuver node. Actually, I don't know why I did that, because I'm pretty sure I did make a maneuver alarm clock thingy. I don't know what it's called. So actually, I don't know why I did that. As you can see, we are about to execute our burn in 2, 1, there we go. Very, very inexpensive burn to get into a Minmus. There we go. Just like that. So we will be aiming to land on the flats that is in the center of your screen. Yeah, you can see me making maneuver node. I'm not sure why I made it like this, because I realized that my orbit isn't going in that direction. So I would actually have to make the maneuver node more to the right, because that's where my orbit is going. I'm not sure how I missed that, but oh well. So I will make another maneuver node. I'm not even sure why I made a maneuver node in the first place. I could probably have just waited until I was over the flats and pointed retrograde, because we're only going 150 roughly meters per second, which is like nothing. So yeah. Just me critiquing my own mission and just saying that it's basically trash and I was not very good during this mission. Oh well. This is not one of my best missions, I would. So here we are, just time warping down to our deorbit, deorbit burn, I guess you could say. That is now go. It's gonna point retrograde, obviously. Put our landing gear up. We're probably gonna make a quick save soon, because I sometimes do get a little trigger happy with that good old time warp button, and I just crashed into Minmus. Here we go. One thing that I will admit is that this Minmus descent is a little lengthy, because I forgot to install better time warp. So if your periapsis is below, I think 8,500 meters, 3,000 periapsis between 6,250 meters, you cannot time warp, which is a pain. And I forgot to install better time warp, so you're just gonna have to sit here and wait for this. I could speed it up, but it's kind of too late because I'm already recording this commentary. Not sure why I hit that land button, because the Minmus flats are at sea level, but oh well. Alrighty, so I don't know why I keep critiquing my own mission. I'm not 100% sure why. I'm pretty sure it's because I've at the moment almost ran out of things to talk to, but I will have something to talk to that is embarrassing a little bit, which basically means I'm gonna be critiquing the mission again. Jebediah is commanding this marvelous descent onto the minty surface that is Minmus. As we get through 100 meters, you're gonna realize that it was not a very marvelous descent, and I pretty much screwed up this. Because I was looking to make sure that I was pointed retrograde, and I did not realize that I started going up again. Pretty sure I did this 2 times, I'm not 100% sure why, but it happened, oh well. As you can see by the delta V readouts, we only have 630 meters per second of delta V, which is, I did cut it a little close. And after I landed this and I made my Minmus ascent, I ascended too much and I ended up escaping Kerbin entirely. So you will see a cut because I loaded a quick save back to where I was landed. So there will be a cut in 3, 2, 1. There's the cut. So now we can see we have Jebediah EVAing. Heading to the minty surface of Minmus. He is going to plant our flag and I will write I don't know what it's called. I guess a goodbye letter to Minmus of KSP1. I don't know. I kind of sent a whole goodbye letter to KSP, even though I'm probably going to make another video like this of my last one mission. Maybe my last Duna mission. I don't know. Gilly, maybe, I don't know. Well, we'll see. Such a big part of life. Yeah, the KSP is actually, KSP1 I should say, is actually my most played game on Steam by like a long shot. Probably, definitely not my most played game of all time. That's definitely Minecraft because I mean, like, how should I say this? If you were born in the 2000s, when you were a little kid below like the age of 7, who didn't play Minecraft? Like, let's be honest, who didn't? On like a crappy, I had an iPad and it was like extraordinarily bad. Like, it was not meant to play Minecraft, but I somehow got it to work. It was like so laggy. The good old days of like 2016, 2017, but oh my gosh, that's almost 5 years ago. That's ridiculous. KSP has been around for almost turning 11 years old this year. But KSP2 will hopefully bring us, and of course carry on the torch. The giant torch that is KSP1. It is the best space related. I'm gonna say it is the best physics game because it's like a whole real world physics engine. I didn't even bother. I will critique this mission even more. I didn't even bother to bring out Bill or Bob or deploy the ladders. Alrighty, so I am just rotating it to 0.90 degrees, even though I don't really know why I did that. Obviously, I keep critiquing this mission. That's literally all I'm talking about. I swear, when I, like, look back at this mission, like, tomorrow, when it's uploaded, I'm probably gonna be so embarrassed. So, feel free to call me an idiot. You're just ascending from Minmus's surface and into a high Kerbin orbit. Just currently about to check how much delta V it will take to descend. We only have 378 meters per second of delta V. I don't know why I said this. Only about 200 meters per second roughly to get it down. And after this, I will be playing around with it to get a periapsis of about 20,000 meters. Not sure why I did that, but as you can see, I'm just playing around with it. I wanted 25. I'm not 100% sure why, so I just played around with this so much. There we, nope. There we go. I think that's where I stopped playing around with it. So we're gonna add a maneuver time thingy as we say goodbye to Minmus for the first time. And I realized that I forgot to retract my landing legs. So So there we go. So we are now saying goodbye to the minty surface that is Minmus. Is it just me, or do the flats on Minmus on one side kind of look like the surface of the moon in real life? Sort of. Like the Sea of Tranquility that, which one is the Sea of Tranquility? It's the, I know it's where Apollo 11 landed, but I can't think of which, like, I'm trying to visualize a map of the moon in my head. It's not the spherical one. That's like, I'm blanking. I don't know. But it kind of looks like the moon in real life, at least how the flats are mapped out. The colors are the same, obviously. The moon isn't greenish, like light green. That'd be weird. There we go. Now we are making our, waiting for the maneuver node to come by. About to make our descent burn from a high Kerbin orbit to a low, but a very eccentric orbit that will, in fact, bring us into the atmosphere of Kerbin. With only about 150 meters per second of delta V left to spare. Not sure why, but I really wanted 25,000 meters. I have literally no clue why, so I tried messing around with docking mode, because I realized that the command pod has RCS thrusters on it, but I did not know that they cannot thrust you forward and backward like normal RCS thrusters, so I kind of gave up on that. They can propel you sideways in docking mode, but they cannot propel you forwards or backwards. Honestly, kind of makes sense, because why would a command pod need to be thrusted forward and backward, because those RCS thrusters are purely to right the command pod? So it does make sense why they would not be able to position you. That's more for, like, docking. RCS thrusters built for docking. Something that I got really scared of as I was doing this mission is I time warped right through the atmosphere. Because I got very trigger happy with the time warp button. And I ended up time warping through the atmosphere. So this time I was a little bit more careful with the time warp button and make sure that that does not happen again. We can see the bottom right, the Pleiades scrolling through Orion. There's the moon in the background. There's the sun. Hello, sun. Is it sun or Kerbal? Because it is referred to sun in most of the game, except for a ice chunk analysis on Elu, where it is said something about how the Kerbal's rays, or so it's Kerbal's heat and something. So, is it the sun or Kerbal? Because the game does mention both. We will have to wait for the sequel to figure out. I'm going to go ahead and say that it's probably going to be referred to as Kerbal, because Nate Simpson, the guy who is developing the game, keeps referring to it as Kerbal. So, I'm probably going to assume that it will be called Kerbal. Honestly, I think it's kind of cooler that it will be called Kerbal. Anyway, I just talked about some random stuff right through re-entry. Now we are descending down to Kerbin. Parachutes are out, and you're gonna have to wait roughly a minute, like 30 seconds for us to make our complete descent to splashdown. And now we are going at a cool roughly 10 meters per second, 9.5 meters per second, as we descend towards the ocean looming below us of Kerbin. Our last Minmus mission is almost over. 3, 2, 1. I didn't get the count right, but there we go. So thank you all so much for watching, and I hope to see you again for my last Mun mission, and again in KSP 2. Sorry for the long wait on upload. School kind of became a big thing. But yeah, bye.